Initially, we here at GT thought it would be hard to fill up an entire list of action and adventure games. Yet after combing through several publishers' official 2015 calendars, it became clear that this category will house several juggernauts in the coming year. In fact, don't be surprised if 12 months from now, you see many of these titles making themselves at home in our annual Game of the Year awards. Whether you seek your thrills from exploring vast worlds or fighting fierce opponents, there's sure to be something in here for everyone. There's not much else to say about the disastrous release of Unity last year, other than the fact that things will probably be better in Victory. Don't forget that after the underwhelming showing from AC3, we got a stellar performance from AC4 Black Flag, and we're finally going to one of the longest rumored time periods, Victorian-era London. Rising from relative obscurity, Rocksteady Studios made a name for themselves with the release of Batman Arkham Asylum, forever raising the bar for what we expect from licensed franchises. Almost 6 years later, they'll complete their vision with Arkham Knight. With the entirety of Gotham to roam in an appropriately tricked-out Batmobile, we're anxiously awaiting the next chance to be Batman. Ubisoft dazzled us with a stunning trailer for The Division back at E3 2013, and everything we've seen since looks amazing. After recent setbacks with other Ubisoft IPs, though, it would only be prudent to be a bit more cautious about our optimism. That being said, the survival premise certainly has us hooked. The team behind Enslaved, Heavenly Sword, and the more recent Devil May Cry reboot is foregoing the typical route of securing a major publisher, and instead will self-publish its latest action game for the PlayStation 4 and PC. All we've seen thus far is a brief glimpse into this mystical world based on Celtic mythology, as its female protagonist prepares to set off on a quest for revenge. Here's something that we'd never thought we'd see, the return of King's Quest, through an indie initiative with Activision. Unlikely yet extremely qualified developer The Odd Gentleman looks to be creating a faithfully quirky, fantastical adventure that explores the backstory to one of adventure games' greatest franchises. Before the strange, clunky Nintendo DS had really taken off, Kirby Canvas Curse was one of the first games to prove that Nintendo could make a viable game using touch controls. Touchscreens are such a gimmick, right? Kirby and the Rainbow Curse certainly has less to prove using the same draw-a-line Kirby navigation system, but layering on Waddle Dee co-op action and an almost freakishly realistic clay aesthetic. We've only seen a precious few minutes of this game in action, but it's enough to get us pumped for Link's new adventure. There's still those who doubt the game will make its promised 2015 release date, but Nintendo insists it's still on track. With the promise of the largest overworld in the series and a feel reminiscent of the classic NES installments, the wait for the new Zelda is going to be agonizing. After revisiting Ocarina of Time on the 3DS back in 2011, Nintendo will finally deliver the highly anticipated remake of the 2064 classic Majora's Mask. Only this time, it looks like Termina's getting more than just a facelift, as recent trailers and hands-on have shown significant portions of the game are completely redone. Thankfully, we won't have to wait long to see what all the fuss is about. Originally introduced to us as Lily Bergamo, a super action game with online features and a companion app for smartphones, Let It Die has drastically diverted from its anime aesthetic into a darker, distinctly more Western style. Though the female protagonist has passed on, the theme of death remains. If a player dies in their game, a ghostly copy of their character will reach out to torment other players. How did this get here? Ah well, we guess there's no denying the appeal of a Mario Party. This entry will make use of the Wii U's still underutilized controller through an asymmetric game mode where one partier will play as Bowser, attempting to ruin everyone else's fun in each minigame. Also, Mario Party 10 will enable Amiibo consumers to continue their ill-fated spending with a brand new line of figures, each featuring their own specially customized game board. Each new piece of media from the Phantom Pain highlights Kojima's penchant for throwing curveballs that continuously keep us on our toes. While we're sure to get at least another trailer or two before we finally step into Big Boss's shoes, you can expect to be left with far more questions than answers. And we wouldn't have it any other way. Though you might easily confuse this as a new mode in Minecraft proper, this is actually a standalone adventure developed by the narrative gurus at TELLTALE with input from the Minecraft community. Not much is known about story mode, but given the studio's track record and the juggernaut that is Minecraft, it's easy to see why this project is turning more than a few heads. From the makers of Joe Danger and Joe Danger 2 comes something unlike anything we'd ever expect, a space exploration game seemingly endless in scope. No Man's Sky promises seamless transitions from walking an undiscovered planet's surface to hopping into your personal X-Wing-esque starfighter to blast off into the sky shooting asteroids in any space cruiser you feel like. If it works, this game will be historic. RIME is the sort of game that speaks for itself. It's honestly more important that you see this footage than hear these words, since we're looking at something that appears to be an eco-Wind Waker crossbreed, sprinkled with apparent mysteries and chubby warthog creatures. With the promise of open exploration on a puzzle-infested island, we're pretty sure we don't need to hear anything more from RIME. Rise of the Tomb Raider may be a silly title, considering that this is the chronological sequel to a game in which we assumed we had already witnessed the rise of the Tomb Raider, but it looks like there is still space to explore in Lara Croft's ascension. Crystal Dynamics promises to put the tomb back in Tomb Raider, but at the very least, we can expect to witness the bleeding edge of hair physics. Media Molecule's creativity put the PlayStation Vita to great use when the original version of Tearaway launched back in 2013, but sadly, very few people took a chance on the game. Determined to give the title another chance, the team is bringing a revamped edition to the PlayStation 4 with an extended storyline and new features designed around the DualShock controller. Uncharted's genre classification may spawn arguments worthy of their own show, but Nathan Drake's series is a staple of action-adventure. Massive, moving set pieces, varied combat, and surprisingly sharp writing are present throughout every Uncharted game, and there's no reason to believe Uncharted 4 will break from tradition. And just like the train level or sinking cruise ship, we're excited to see what Naughty Dog will do to make us say wow on a brand new adventure. Until Dawn is a horror game that definitely cribs its tone from a very particular set of horror movies. You know the kind, the one where all the teenagers die. True to its inspiration, if one of your playable characters is violently murdered by the horrifying man in the mask, the game continues, shifting perspective to the next survivor, who will hopefully meet a better fate. Or not. Looks like the choice is up to us. There's just one episode left in our Ultimate Game Preview, but there's even more to come. This Friday night, we reveal the results of our hotly debated, most anticipated games of 2015. Plus, you have the opportunity to share your picks. Click the link below to vote for the games you just can't wait for, and your responses could end up in next week's Community Countdown.